Yeah. Hi guys. So nice to have all of you here, right? I hope you guys can hear me well and fine. Yeah. Now I'll just be taking the questions only in the last 15 minutes. So let me just take you guys seamlessly through the presentation for the first 45, and then then I'll ensure that we have enough time to take on the questions. Yeah. So let's get the conversation underway. Yeah. So very happy to have you all here. I think this is a topic which is an area of passion for most marketers right now, right? It's about how, the COVID is really impacting the FMCG business, the industry at an overall level. Yeah. And then also onto the students on how does one sort of navigate your careers at this time, right? So that's really what I'm going to be covering broadly. The flow of the presentation will be broadly as follows. We'll first try to understand what's really going on. Yeah, how are various categories being impacted? How business is doing, and really what's the overall landscape looking like? Yeah. Then I will get into a little bit of something linked to my profession, which is marketing, and we will talk about really, how are marketers and brands going about their trade in the times of COVID. Yeah. Finally, we'll reflect a little bit upon the new behaviors that we are all seeing, right? How are people responding to it? What are some of the learnings? Yeah. And finally, we'll get into the section of managing your career, where I'll give you a bit of a snapshot on what my career has been really all about. Yeah. And how can you reflect on yours, right? Okay. So understanding what's going on, I'm sure we are all, inundated with a bulge of data, right? And really, what do we make out of all of it? So first, yeah, the bad news. The pandemic is not going to go away very soon. Yeah, this is going to take some time. Yeah, and why do I say that? The reason why I say that is if you look at the pandemics or disasters which have really impacted humanity in the past, right? Whether it be the SARS outbreak or the disaster in Japan or the MERS outbreak, right? Typically, there is a 6 to 9 month gestation period, right? There is a time when the outbreak first spreads. It really gets you to the lowest point possible, and then you start seeing a recovery, right? Now, in certain areas, like we have seen in a New York, right, or in a Mumbai, one believes that you are, probably off the top of the curve, but then it spreads to other markets. There are other cities which have a more difficult time, but all in all basis, it takes between a 6 to 9 month period for a society or economy to really recover from the kind of a pandemic that we're going through. Yeah. Now, during this time, what have been the trends which have been impacting everybody, not just in India, but across the globe? Yeah. First is, of course, evolved hygiene, and we've all seen that, right? There is so many hand sanitizers, toilet soaps, household cleaners currently being talked about, right? We are all ourselves consuming and buying a lot of these products, right? Because, you can't go anywhere without a hand sanitizer, right? So obviously, an evolved hygiene is something that becomes large. This is partially also learned behavior, and once a society becomes a little more hygienic, yeah, you tend to retain some of these hygiene habits into your day-to-day working. And for a country like ours, it will probably in the long term really be a boon in terms of improving the standard of our hygiene. Yeah. The other thing which has really seen a boom during this time is food. Yeah. And why food? Right? A very large part of this shift is really the shift from your institutional to retail, which is basically the shift from us consuming our food outside of home in restaurants and bars and in food courts, right? And those behaviors now being replicated indoors, right? So while markets like Germany, Spain, US saw things like canned pastas, noodles, dried beans going up, right? What we have seen in India, right? And now these are trends which have been going on for some time. Yeah, what we have seen in India is that the staples went up. Yeah, so atta, rice went up, but also slightly evolved food products, right? Food products which marketeers have been trying to create the market of for some time. Things like breakfast cereals, cheese. I think that is something that really has seen a boom. And why is that? We will figure out as we go ahead. Yeah. Now, what is Nielsen predicting of what lies ahead, right? The Nielsen predicts that the consumers are going to be bearish on spends like going to a restaurant or movie theater, right? They will decrease their expenditure on automobiles, luxury brands, right? They will defer spending on fashion and grooming. So fashion and grooming in the short term will take a hit, because I don't think too many of us are going to be dressing in our, fine suits and sitting in meetings while on work from home. Yeah. And of course, there's a lesser spend on alcohol and tobacco related products that's been forecast. Yeah. Health and hygiene clearly goes up, and hence it's a great time for somebody to be in Reckitt Benckiser, I guess, right? More healthier foods goes up, so things like organic, medical foods, right? A lot of us are also considering spending more on education, right? So I would say something like a Byju's is probably would be having the time under the sun right now. A lot of us would have also decided that, maybe it's time to get another education rather than trying to venture into the market, which will be depressed. Yeah. And investments, right? After the big market collapse we saw in March, the Sensex is rising every single day, probably every week. And hence, I guess this is also a time when a lot of us have decided to prioritize investments, right? Because, hey, what else are you going to spend your money on any which ways, right? Now, what else? Technology. I would say technology is something which as a sector is really going up. And this is a time when online shopping is seeing a boom, right? A big basket or a grocers of the world today are growing at 300, 400%, right? OTT platforms, I think a lot of us have been seeing our Netflix and Hotstar, right? It is becoming a part of real life because you have OTT coming up in a big manner, right? Wi-Fi's, I think we have all upgraded our packages. I don't think I would be able to have this conversation had I not upgraded my own Wi-Fi package a couple of weeks back, right? But I would say these are the sectors which are going to do well, yeah. Also, if we see what Mindshare had to say, Mindshare said that auto sector, which was any which was having a bad time even before the lockdown or before the pandemic, is going to go through a further difficult time, because the issues that we are having with China are not helping, because it is easy to say make in India, but it is not very easy for manufacturers to convert their backend infrastructure of what they would take from a China. So I would say the auto sector is going to have a difficult time and is going to stick. Consumer durables and electronics, I would say again, in the short term, they will have a difficult time, especially in terms of their backend dependencies on China, right? FMCG, I think a few FMCG sectors are having a worse time than others, but a lot of others are doing extremely well, right? Like I said, hygiene and food, right? Retail, cinema, travel, hospitality, undoubtedly very, very difficult time for them. Yeah. And they will take some time to get back. So I would say, maybe year and a half, 2 years is what they will take to really get back to a normal. And then eventually there should be growth and they should boom, but not right now. Yeah. Telecom, of course, is a good time for Jio. It's a good time for a lot of initiatives in the mobility space, right? We need better bandwidth. We are on our phone calls, say 5 to 6 hours a day. So of course, these will benefit. And what should brands do during this time, right? So should they stop advertising? Should they be smart about the advertising? Yeah, of course they should. Because the fact is the bigger risk which brands face during this time, right, is that if you are not agile, if you are not smart, somebody else is going to take your market away. Somebody else is going to realize that this is an opportunity, and a challenger brand to overturn a category leader right now, I would say this is the best time. Yeah, because consumers are sitting at home, seeing TV, GRPs are cheap, right? Consumers are building new habits. So I would say this is actually a great time for marketeers, right? This is a time to really take advantage of. Where do they take advantage? Do they take advantage in TV? Sure they do, because the cost of GRPs is cheaper right now, but also on digital. So I would say digital is growing in a very, very large way. News apps are, of course, are going through the roof, but also all other social media, TV advertising, online music. I think all of this is seeing a boom right now. In fact, at an overall level, TV consumption has gone up 40% during this lockdown. Yeah. And while some of it will taper off, but it is still going to remain at extremely high levels, because if people are sitting at home, beyond a point, what else are they going to do? Yeah. And in fact, advertising, right? So what I mentioned, the advertising fraternity just completely withdrew in April. So 1st April, there's a massive collapse, right? All ads are off TV. They said, what's the point of being on TV? Content is not going to be created. So there's no fresh content for 3-4 months, right? But slowly and steadily, I think the early adopters have realized that this is actually a time for brand building, and really smart digital and other initiatives are actually going up. right? You actually have the consumption on TV really, or media really coming back, and it is going up steadily. And I would say we are very close to hitting a pre-COVID levels, right? Like I mentioned, digital is of course really booming. Yeah, news apps are really booming. There's been an 11% rise in terms of minutes. There's an even higher rise when it comes to specific applications. Yeah, so it's a time to be a smart marketeer in that sense. Yeah. This for me is the most revealing and interesting slide, right? Because this is based on a study done by Kantar in China. They had really seen the growth of various categories. And, this has now become very common parlance across the industry. You'll have a lot of industry leaders today talking about a limited impact, U-shaped recovery, V-shaped recovery, growth categories. But really, what does this mean? Yeah. What this means is that there are a set of categories which are really going to benefit through the lockdown. I mentioned things like cornflakes, yeah, breakfast cereal. I mentioned cheese, right? Because consumers are going to believe that if I want to have culinary excitement, it's going to happen at home. The frozen foods, right? And those are going to be the grow categories. And I believe that this is learned behavior. Once you learn how to use cheese, you're not going to go back. Not going to go back all the way to only ordering from a Domino's. You're going to believe that I can make some of this at home. And hence, I would say there are a large number of categories which are going to benefit in a very solid manner from the entire pandemic that we're going through. Yeah, a limited impact. Now, I would say things like staples, dal, rice. We mentioned that in the beginning in terms of growth, but that growth is unlikely to last beyond a point. Yeah, if you see the blue line, there's going to be a bump up when people sort of hoard and stock each time there is a lockdown announced. But eventually it tapers off because you cannot have that much more of your roti and dal. You will have what you have been having. Sure, you replace some of the restaurant food with it, but of course it's not something that's going to see a very large boom because it's not a new behavior that you're creating. Yeah. The two kind of categories which are going to be worst hit, those are in the V-shaped recovery and the U-shaped recovery, right? Now, V-shaped recovery are those items where, these include things like a Greek yogurt, your Yakult, your pastas, right? You might have realized for a while that I don't really require this as much right now. But the moment you feel a little safe enough to buy it, you will start buying your milkshakes all over again. Right? But then there are certain that you will not buy as much. Yeah. And that is going to be your chocolates, your candy, your cold drinks, right? Why is that? Because there is going to be limited mobility outside of home, right? And things which are impulse and really driven by a consumer moving around. Yes, it's going to take some time to recover. It's not going to come back so quickly. It won't come back even when the say so-called new normal really sets in. So I would say that you can categorize most FMCG industries into these 4 categories, and that gives you an idea of how they're going to be impacted. Yeah. And this is reflected very well in the Sensex, right? Now, as I mentioned, the Sensex saw a steep collapse in March. It's been coming back. It's probably almost say 60-70% there already. I would say Sensex today is depressed by only around 30% to before pre-COVID days. Right? And the impact on certain companies, you can see the difference. So in a company like a Unilever, it's steadily coming back. It's almost there at a pre-COVID level. A company like a Britannia, which is actually getting the benefits of consumers sitting at home and consuming the biscuits, right, is actually gone far higher than pre-COVID levels. So I would say the future will be bright for sure, but even the current is not very dismal across the industry. Yeah, there are people and there are sectors which are being risk averse. But I would say at an overall level, I would say this is a year that we might still see a consumption increase. Yeah. Now I go to the next section, right? So this is what's going on in the ambience, but how does the marketeer really respond to this? What does the marketeer do, right? How does he respond to what has changed versus what is current? Yeah. A marketeer responds the way he does in any other situation. Yeah, he breaks it into blocks. He tries to understand what is this real consumer behavior and what's really going on. So as most of us marketeers have done, we realize that the pandemic can be divided into these 4 stages, right? There is a breach stage where we just got into the pandemic. There's a crisis stage where people are trying to understand what's going on. There's a resilience stage where people have gotten now sort of used to it. And then there is, of course, a recovery. Yeah. So what is happening in these, and what is important to a marketeer? What's important to a marketeer is to first understand how are consumers thinking and feeling, what is going on in their minds, and how is that resulting into behavior. Yeah. So as I mentioned, in the breach stage, in the first stage, I think people were very confused. This is somewhere around Feb, March, right? April, where people was like, oh my God, what's really going on? Is the world going to end? Should I, find a bunker and not get out ever? Right? And really at that time, they were seeking information. They were seeing news all the time. They were talking to everybody. And really brands used that opportunity to spread awareness. And I'll come up with a few examples up ahead on how brands have really used the breach time to provide the consumer with what the consumer is seeking. Yeah. The next part of it was the crisis stage. And I would say the crisis stage might be over for some part of the country. For a large part of the country, it would still be going on. Yeah. So what happens in the crisis stage? In the crisis stage, people feel anxious. They worry about their jobs. They have concerns about their loved ones, right? They worry what will happen if I was to land up into an hospital. Yeah. There you desperately focus on cleaning, sanitization. There is, home stocking. There is hoarding. You're learning social distancing. You're working from home. You're virtually like under a bunker, right? And I would say a very large part of the country, we would already be in some way into the resilience phase, right? In the resilience phase, people accept what's going on. They say, yeah, life is not the same. Yeah, clearly working from home for 8 hours is not a normal by any stretch of imagination, right? But I accept it. Yeah, I accept the change scenario. Some people become optimistic. Some people are grateful that, at least I am not impacted as much as somebody else. They seek safety and familiarity, that they, go back to the brands they trust. They try to create certain, new behaviors which give them comfort that things are not out of control. At that time, they try to enjoy their family time. They do more online shopping. They do more experimentation, and they find ways to pass time. Yeah. Again, I'll come up with, how brands have really used this time. Yeah. And finally, the last stage, right, where it is all about renewal, right? And renewal stage is by far nowhere here. It'll take a long time for it to come. But really, when you get into the renewal phase, you believe that the worst is over. You feel just a little relaxed, right? But health and hygiene remain priorities. Concern for the long term remains a priority. You continue to believe that, there is no lockdown announced, but I would still rather sit around at home. Yeah. I would still rather do more of home entertainment, and really you have, much higher standards of hygiene. You have healthier dietary habits. You have limited social interaction, and that's really the new normal which people talk about, right? So I would say these are the 4 phases which a marketeer understands. I would say a large part of the country would be moving into the resilience phase. A very large part of the country would still be in the crisis stage, but really here we are. And what are brands doing about it, right? So, like I said, in the first stage where people are interested in information, right? You have had brands like Dove. You have had Google really talking about the fact that it's all about washing your hands, staying safe. You had a Mojo Pizza talking about stay apart, stay safe, and really you rode a conversation which is relevant. Yeah. In the resilience phase, where it comes to celebrating home time, of course, you have Amul as a very opportune company which does a lot of interesting advertising. But you also had Hershey's getting into the act and talking about staying that you're at home, but pamper yourself, right? Things to do at home, another common theme. And I would say interesting brands like Biscuits, Time Pass, right? Daag Ghar Pe Rahenge, where Surf Excel talks about really making the most of home time and really allowing your children to have the liberty of really making a mess at home because they can't play in the mud outside. Yeah. And really appreciation and gratitude. And we have seen a lot of brands really doing this. I would say that Doctor's Day, which is celebrated recently, was probably more active than many, Independence Days and Republic Days I've seen, right, online. And why is that? Because this is a time to show appreciation and gratitude, right? There's a time to show appreciation for doctors, a time to show appreciation for the delivery boys, right? And lots more. I would say appreciation and gratitude remains a fundamental theme that the consumer wants to engage in. Yeah. And then solidarity and support, right? So you have a large number of companies which have really talked about how they're going to be contributing towards making the world a slightly better place in this tough time, right? And really, this is something which draws not just consumer engagement, but it is the right thing to do. And a lot of other companies are pitched in. Yeah. And finally, about assuring safety, and I would say that, you know, if a consumer doesn't believe that a Domino's can deliver things to him in a safe manner, they won't have much of a future. And I would say they have taken the right steps in making early strides in trying to you know, not just tell the consumer, but also make fundamental changes in the way they operate, right? And that's something the consumer wants to engage and talk about. Yeah. And finally, it's about free riding and topicality, about saying that, you know, there is a lot of humor associated with the fact that, you know, I want to go back to work because I want to work less, right? That's called free riding on topicality, where you really pick up themes or humor that the consumer appreciates or understands right now. Yeah. And hence, really, even a time of a pandemic creates fundamentally new communication opportunities, right? And what do marketeers do during this time, right? Marketeers go out there and they try to understand what are the new emerging passion points. They find what are the new product opportunities, right? They speak in a manner that is sensitive and relevant. And really, that's the three things that are the fundamentals of marketing during this time. Yeah. Now, let me go to the next section. What is my reflection on the new behaviors that we are seeing happening out there? Yeah. And I would say the first big behavior change for all of us is working from home. Yeah. First thing that we've all realized, it is really hectic. I think we're all working harder than we've ever worked before, right? It starts at 8 o'clock, goes on till 10. There are almost no weekends. You don't even know which month it is, for heaven's sake. I mean, it's July, and I really don't know where my April, May, June really went, for heaven's sake, right? It's just in a blur of non-stop working. Yeah. And then there are digital hitches. I think all of us have felt embarrassed at one point in time or the other. I mean, I was completely scared as hell about saying that, you know, what if my Wi-Fi goes off, or my chat doesn't work, or you know, what is my backup for a backup for a backup? Hopefully, I've not had to use any of it, and I shouldn't have to use it for the next, say, 45 minutes, right? There's a time to balance personal and professional commitments. There's a time to plan commitments in advance, because everybody's calendar is now chock-a-block, because nothing is happening, you know, just by the way on a smoke break, right? It's a time when there's a lack of professional networking. Gone are those casual conversations that we could have to get our, you know, yeses and nos in place. So it's a new way of working, and it's important for all of us to be sensitive to it, right? I think a question which I now more often than not ask my reportees is, have you had your breakfast or lunch at 3 o'clock, right? Because this new way of working has put us all on the edge in many ways. Yeah. But what I realized is that while we are disconnected because we're all sitting at home, but it is important to remain connected. Yeah. And you know, believe you me, it sounds weird, but a lot of us in the marketing fraternity have used this time to actually call up retailers, right? Call up our customers, call up people in different parts of the country to really understand what is really going on the ground. Because, you know, you go outside, you visit 2 stores and you build a point of view, right? But really building a longer point of view is important, right? So we need to connect. We need to understand more. I think webinars are happening at a never before pace. Why is that? Because we are all at home. We want to understand what's going on, right? So we're looking at data. We are really talking to each other. There have been completely new ways of servicing which have gone up. I mean, our company in Britannia have been sending SMS blasts to retailers to say that, you know what, we may not be able to supply you everything, but our distributor is open. Please come and pick it up. Yeah. The other behavior, right, is I think is on investment, right? I think a very large number of brands have wanted to adopt a frugal mindset, which is the reason why, while the Sensex is going up, there is still recruitment freezes. Why is that? Because there's a psychological pressure to adopt a frugal mindset. You know, there's a psychological pressure to say that, you know, there is doom and gloom and let me not invest, right? But I would say the smarter ones are investing more, because it's a time for the brave. It's a time for smaller players. It's a time for first movers, right? It's a time for pulling out your investment, because if you do not invest, I would say that's a much bigger risk, right? So it is about recasting your projects and your priorities rather than stalling anything. Yeah. Again, what I learned during this time is that there is always a digital hack, and it's amazing, right? That snapshot on the left is me doing consumer immersions with 4 women, right, or 5 women, with a moderator really helping me out. Researches will go digital, activations are going digital, collaboration is on digital, and there is knowledge on digital. So there is always a digital hack. If you feel there is anything that you feel is not possible right now, digital will probably be the answer for that. Yeah. And then finally, there is leadership, right? And how is really leadership changing during this time, right? So I would say there is a time for empathetic leadership. There is a time to be a little more patient. It's a time to be a coach. It's about, stepping up and volunteering rather than waiting for your subordinate to ask, right? It's about creating opportunities to bond and connect, because the regular daru party to celebrate a success is not going to happen. Yeah. It's a time to be really, really clear on your expectations, because, I realized, much to my dismay at the start of the lockdown, on how much of my superiors' communication was non-verbal. And when you are having meetings with them with the screen switched off, you really don't know what they are really talking about and what's important, what's not, right? So I think it's a time for being really clear on your expectations. Yeah. And finally, now I go to the third section. Yeah. And the third section is really about how does one manage your career? Yeah. Now, while I'm going to be talking a lot from a sales and marketing standpoint, but I would say that the learnings that I'm going to share here will be relevant to anybody across any category, be you be in finance or operations or whatever else, right? But really at this point in time, how do I really manage my career? And before I get into, this time, let me get into an overall view of what my career has been like. Yeah. So I've been working for the last 16 years, right? I've done a conventional sales and marketing career. Yeah. The orange boxes are when I was doing marketing, and rest was when I was doing sales. Yeah. Now I worked across Mondelez. Yeah. Moved on to Diageo, and now I've been working with Britannia. Right. With Britannia, I've done 2 roles. I was the marketing head for the international business, and then I've been the marketing head for dairy, which is what my current role is. Yeah. Now, as an ASM, as a sales guy, I worked in the scenic valleys of Uttaranchal, right? I used to always joke about the fact that, the landscape is so beautiful, but I can only think about how much of soap I can sell there, right? Because I was with Wipro Consumer Care at that time. Yeah. And then I moved on to Vijayawada, right? Where I was an ASM. And I really believe that for anybody planning their career, right, in management, right, the first 3 to 4 years should be operations, right? You might eventually want to, be a marketeer. You might eventually want to be in treasury. You might eventually want to be, planning or a supply chain head, right? But really the first 3-4 years in operations, I would say, is really critical, because it really helps you figure out the fundamentals of what works, what does not work. I would say the, biggest help to me as a marketeer was the skepticism towards marketing that I built when I was in sales, right? It is a belief about saying that, ad to chal rahi, maal nahi bik raha mera, right? And I would say that skepticism was very healthy, because it helped me understand that when you are in a planning or a marketing function, right, what are the real levers that work and what they don't work. Yeah. From there, I moved on to my career in marketing. Yeah. I handled the brands Gems and Celebrations, and both were a delight to work on, right? I worked on Raho Umarless. It's a beautiful campaign. You should see it online, right? And I worked on Is Diwali Aap Kise Khush Karoge on Cadbury Celebration. So I think it was over a 4 to 5 year period is where I cut my teeth in marketing. I probably became the marketeer that I am today, thanks to those experiences, right? It was absolutely a delight. But 4 to 5 years on the down the line, I really felt that, my learning journey is plateauing. It's a time to make myself uncomfortable all over again. Yeah. And that's when I went back to sales, and I was really handling a 650 crore business with Mondelez. I was handling rest of Maharashtra, MP, Chhattisgarh, and Goa, right? It's the largest people span territory, 8 ASMs to handle almost over roughly 3 years, 2 years and 7-8 months, right? An extremely difficult time, a very, very challenging area for me, right? But I think it was what I required at that time to not just build my functional excellence with regards to marketing understanding, but also my leadership skills, right? And I would say as we all navigate our careers, right? These are fundamental building blocks that we must plan for, right? There is a time for leadership, there is a time for strategy, right? And both have to be planned out in your life. Yeah. Once I did that and I finished my learnings in sales and my learnings in leadership, and I started inching towards upper management, right? I took up a role with Diageo as an innovation head for premium and luxury spirits. I think 2 years, I had a ball of it. I was really instrumental in the launch of Captain Morgan Dark Rum, which is something which I take a lot of pleasure in. Yeah. And not just the brand, but also the product. Yeah. And it was really exciting for me because I learned in depth about one of the functions, which is a sub function within overall marketing. And as I go through the next few slides, I'm going to take a few slides just to explain to you what else is there in the overall marketing landscape, which is relevant for us to understand, because every role that you do also means that there is a commensurate role that you are not doing. Yeah. International marketing head for the international business, again an extremely exciting role, right? I learned everything about how consumers think from a Middle East to a Bangladesh to a Nepal to an Egypt. Yeah. And I would say that is again a very interesting building block of many of our careers, right? Because it is very important for us to understand, right, how brands and consumers vary across markets, right? And one learning is within our own country, but also overseas. And this is, I think, a good experience for all of us to look forward and pick up. Yeah. And finally is my role in dairy, right? Now, what I wanted to help you understand about this career progression is that while a lot of this stuff happens by luck and chance, a lot of it also comes by having a fundamental clear vision for yourself, right? And hence, one of the things that I really, ask people to do, I ask, students to do, anybody gives me a call on career advice, right, is to say, it's very important to build your own vision for yourself, maybe 15 years down the line. Yeah, because in a 15-year period, anything is possible. Yeah. Build that journey, that vision for yourself, visualize it, then walk back 5 years to say that if I have to be that person in 15 years time, what do I need to be 5 years before that? And what happens 5 years before? Yeah. And how this played out to me. So I was quite clear in the beginning part of my career that I want to be a head of marketing, right? And if I want to be a head of marketing in 15 years time, yeah, I will need a set of experiences ticked off. And really the last 3-4 stints that I've done have been ticking off those experiences, saying that, I need to get a handle on sales, and need to understand innovation, and need to handle international business, and I need to understand categories beyond 1 or 2 categories that I've worked in. And that helped me navigate it. 5 years earlier, I said, I'm not going to be a marketing leader unless I've also done a leadership role in operations. And that's where the branch sales manager role came in proactively. Yeah. 5 years earlier, I was very clear that, if I want to have a large career in the category or the segment that I love, I need to start with a strong base of operations. I need to work with big brands and with a strong base of operations. So in the first 3 to 4 years, I'm not going to be looking for the most exciting role. I'm not going to be looking to join a startup. I'm not going to be looking to join only a marketing consultancy, right? I am going to look for a hardcore operations role, because at the start of my career, when I built foundations, right, working on something which is very operationally heavy and tough. So I just sort of strengthen my delivery skills is important, right? And hence, for all of you on the other side as well, managing your career by having these fundamental, clarity in your career, I feel are very, very critical. Yeah. Now, I am going to be talking a lot more about sales and marketing, right? About saying that, sure, the area to start off is sales, right? Or operations for like I said, a finance or a supply chain guy. Eventually you move into marketing, right? But what else is out there that I should be aware of, right? And I feel one of the things which is very important for all of us to be aware of is the length and breadth of the functions that we have taken an expertise for. Yeah. It's like when we are in 12th, all of us don't know what engineering is, and we sort of blunder up in there. Similarly, when we are doing our MBA, most of us don't know what is beyond in sales and marketing. And hence there is also shopper marketing, yeah, which is important to know. And what is the difference between the three, right? So sales caters to replenishment and distribution. Marketing creates brands, creates demand, talks to the consumer. Shopper marketing activates the shopper, which is a crucial link between sales and marketing, which is to say that, sure, you got a great proposition, you got a lovely ad out there. But when the shopper is in store, will he pick up your brand or something else? And I would say shopper marketing is very interesting, right? It's something which I've actually not had the pleasure to do. I've not done a role in shopper marketing, but I would say it's a very interesting role for a lot of us to think about, especially people working in the field of sales and they are trying to make a natural progression into marketing. One of the best ways to do that is through shopper marketing. Yeah. But then there is also consumer insights and then there is media, right? And both have experts in their own fields. But I would say these are also areas that we must consider when we are thinking about our career in sales and marketing. Am I cut out very well for consumer insights or for media? Is something that many of us should reflect upon. Again, what are the various kind of marketing roles? And I just want to demystify that very quickly. Yeah. There are output related roles and there are input. There are consumer related roles and shopper. Yeah. So consumer marketing is typically an output related role, and an input to that is innovation. So when I was working in my stint in Diageo, I was not really working so hard in terms of the campaigns that I will do, but I was working very hard into understanding what is it that a consumer appreciates. And that appreciation comes again from a deep degree of consumer centeredness, but really innovation is a holistic function in many companies and a great area to build your careers. Yeah. When it comes to shopper, I've also talked about the fact that shopper marketing is something that is growing. It's a great area for you to study up and lead up to. It could be the nice crucial leg between, moving from sales to a marketing career. Yeah. And the input as product or innovation is the input for a marketeer. Trade marketing is the input into the shopper, right? So a shopper marketing helps you drive offtakes, but a trade marketing ensures that you are the most favorable customer, right, for your clientele. And I would say that's really sort of the length and width of what marketing is about. Yeah. But beyond this, right, what is sales all about, right? And again, I'm just going to be quite quick about it. It's just to sort of open up your minds in terms of what else you should look at. So there is mainline and scale, right, which is the role of a traditional trade ASM. And this is something which many of us will start our careers with. It's the most hardcore operations job which you can find. It's, I still remember my early days in Wipro Consumer, where at the end of an evening, I would wipe away a layer of salt off my bro, right? And while that was great learning, I surely wouldn't want to do it now. Yeah. But there is also something which is an emerging part of sales, and that's rural, right? We keep talking about, direct to DT, direct to consumer and so on and so forth. But I think the bottom of pyramid is something which has fallen off the radar of many marketeers as something which is fundamentally exciting. And I would say the rural structure is still something which is very exciting. And there are a lot of opportunities in sales just in the rural side. Yeah. Similarly, modern trade is, of course, mainline, right? It has less scale, but a lot more complexity, right? And there are a lot of roles which hive off here, including a key account manager's role, understanding individual customers. Shopper marketing plays a large role here. And in fact, a lot of people who do eventually rich careers in shopper marketing tend to start with their modern trade sales experience. And I would say for many of us who are considering operations, we should consider modern trade as an area. Yeah. And finally, e-commerce. E-commerce is a buzzword, but what is it really, right? E-commerce is sales. Yeah. E-commerce is sales. It's an emerging area, is highly complex, right? Because dealing with a modern trade customer was difficult enough with the kind of negotiation which goes on there. Dealing with e-commerce partners like Big Basket, all of that is completely chaotic. And the rules are not established. It's a great area to start a career in sales, right? E-commerce is something to look out to. Yeah. Now going on to marketing beyond FMCG. Yeah. This is almost now to the close of my presentation. So we'll have a good 20 minutes to answer all the questions and the hands that have been raised. Yeah. So all of us are dreaming of a career in FMCG. Yeah. So we are all talking about, a Nestle or a Danone or a Mondelez or an Oreo. What else is there, right? What else is there for you to build your career in if you feel that top line FMCGs are not coming to your campus, right? I would say e-commerce is big. And I mentioned about how e-commerce is really the, hot new property down the block, which everybody wants to buy a piece of. very relevant during this time. Like I mentioned, Amazon and Flipkart or a big basket delivery today growing at 300, 500%, right? Even though it's still not of great scale for FMCGs, right? For an FMCG, maybe 1 to 2% of my business comes from e-commerce. However, when it comes to cheese, 10% of my business comes from e-commerce, right? So it just shows about how this category is even more relevant during the times of COVID, coupled with the new consumer habits which are coming. Yeah. But I don't want you guys to overlook creative agencies, right? And this is something which I often speak a lot to when I talk to people about, who want to make their career in marketing. If you're not getting a chance to hook yourself onto a large FMCG brand, you should surely consider a career with an Ogilvy or a contract or a McCann. And I would say you'll get best in class marketing experience there, right? However, of course, when you do that, you might want to budget and move back into the mainline client side. But I would say it's a great place to start. And the kind of work that agencies do is extremely exciting. Yeah, worth looking at. Beyond creative agencies, like e-commerce is rising, so is digital agencies, right? It's also a great time to look at digital agencies, right? Agencies like Web Chutney, Foxy Moron, 22 Feet, they're extremely exciting. The kind of work that they're doing is cutting edge. And if you get an experience to either do a project or really land a job in one of these areas, you will get a real good idea of what cutting edge marketing today is all about. In fact, in recent times, I find myself engaging far more with my digital agency, which is 22 Feet, than my mainline creative agencies, because it's just that digital is becoming so critical right now. Yeah. And beyond that, right, what is beyond my creative agencies and my e-commerce and FMCGs is really research agencies, right? And I would say this is another area for all of you to think about who want to build a marketing career. Like once you build a vision for yourself and you have the next 15, 20 years to sort of get where you want to, perhaps a qualitative or a quantitative research agency could be a very interesting part of the repertoire of experiences that you eventually want to pick up, right? But it all goes back to the career vision that you create for yourself. Yeah. So that's really largely what I wanted to say. And I have 2 minutes more before I open up the floor for questions and for our conversation, right? But really, what's my advice to all of us right now? What are the skills that we should sharpen, right? So and this is really far more in the field of sales and marketing, but yeah, storytelling is going to be even more important in this, time where we are talking virtually. Yeah. And, your communication is all that you have. And it's, with so little professional networking or, influencing that one can do, storytelling is a very critical skill. Yeah. Analytical problem solving skills obviously remain important, and so are lateral thinking skills, right? Maybe that's where agility comes in, right? Now, how does one do that? And this is fairly standard stuff. What would be my views for a marketeer, right? I would say, go back to the popular authors. I mean, I love Al Rice and Jack Trout. I would suggest all of us read their books. Books like Positioning, 22 Immutable Laws. They're all fabulous books to read. Yeah. This is a great book for marketeers, How Brands Grow. It's a great definition of how marketing has probably changed during this time, right? And it's a book which I would recommend all of us should read right now. It's almost like a Bible of marketing in today's times. Yeah. Khan's case studies, continue inspiring yourself, right? Building a large vision or large belief in yourself is a lot about setting a very large vision. And I have personally found going through Khan's case studies or any other such winning award shows, right? At the beginning of my career or even midway through my career, my biggest source of inspiration. And what I love doing when I see some of these case studies is to say that, yeah, I could have done that, right? And why don't I, right? And hence I would say, inspire yourself, use this time to really see the best, look out for gold standard. Yeah. And finally, use this time to really sharpen your skills by studying the legendary brands out there, right? Go through those case studies, go through those winning advertising, which is huge. Yeah. Stuff is really, really great. And hence, this is all that I really had to say. Yeah. And now let's just get into the chat mode, right? And understand what are the questions which have now come in. sharing chat window. Okay, give me a second. Yeah, Saurabh, I hope you have opened up the chat and the Q&As. Okay. Right. So let me try to give the answer for some of these questions which have come in. Yeah. Now, and one second. Yeah. Okay. So let me just run through some of these questions. Right. Could you give us a few brief examples to further explain shopper marketing? Really, shopper marketing. Oh God, there are a lot of questions coming. Give me a second. Let me just go right to the top of the window. Cyril, why was the ITC round? Share market is rising, economy is in great shape. I think okay, great. Now, why is the share market rising? While the economy is in great shape, right? I think we will all be quite surprised by the actual economic growth that we see towards the end of this year, right? Now, markets like Europe will suffer, right? Because their consumption is already so high that you need to get the consumer to buy a new Xbox every month just to get growth, right? India is not like that. India is still very basic in terms of the sheer amount of consumption or headroom possible. So for every restaurant which is not open, people are buying cheese and making pizzas. So I would say the economy is going to bounce back. And even through this year, I don't think it's going to be as bad as what we think is going to be, which is why the economy is in bad shape. Yeah. Frugal mindset is the fact that we are all under pressure to say that anything could go wrong. Let us not spend, let us not recruit, right? But the Sensex is going up, so why do we need a frugal mindset? Yeah. How does branding affect respect to marketing? Yeah, so I think I've already talked about that. How do I approach for FMCG marketing? I'm a pharma grad. I think the way to do that is by following the fundamentals, build a vision for yourself, figure out how does various parts things fit into your life, maybe take up a job in sales, eventually move over to marketing. Yeah. To improve sales, what efforts should automobiles and hotel industry take? Yeah. I think the important thing to do is to continue to do a degree of investment, because if you use this time when there is not business happening and you lose the opportunity to lose your saliency of your brands, you're not going to be able to pick yourself up when the things open up. So brands have to figure out a way to remain relevant, continue doing some conversations, right? And we are saying, I'm working with Maruti. We are seeing growth in bookings, and this is the latent demand. Do you think that the demand will taper down after 2 months? I would say great for you. Yeah. If Maruti is continuing to see bookings, it's great. I would say that's absolutely great. And yeah, and right now should be the worst time. So if things are already looking good, should only get better from there, hopefully. Yeah. Then of course, for every trend there's a counter trend, and one of the counter trends is that when you don't have when you can only go to work in your own car, you would probably need to buy your own cars then. Yeah. Does Britannia has vacancy in sales and marketing for freshers in this COVID area? Yeah, Britannia, like a lot of other companies, is also in a cautious mode. I don't think we're all recruiting as fast. Yeah, and people are not leaving the jobs either, right? Because this is not a time when people will want to move out. So you will have only as many vacancies as there are jobs. Yeah. Then I'm a graduate. Yeah. How does branding affect to marketing? Yeah. I've talked about branding examples, about saying that how various kinds of brands are really looking at engagement during this time. Yeah. Then your view on the beauty segment. Beauty segment is of course in a difficult situation right now because people are not going out. Yeah. I assume that it will come back with a vengeance the moment people are safe enough to go out. Yeah. Even in the beauty segment, I would say channels like e-commerce are continuing to grow. Yeah. And hence, I think there will be a transformation and some of those trends should eventually help them in the long run. Yeah. Though it's a difficult time for sure right now. Yeah. Then COVID. So pharma, you need not switch over to FMCG right now because the pharma industry itself should do extremely well, right? With people in COVID and so on and so forth. So you might want to continue working in marketing, right? But one does not need to move from pharma to FMCG. finally you have to decide what's your vision for yourself, right? I am working as a copywriter in digital. I want to head into this. Any input? Yeah. Like I said, whenever, no matter who you are, you might be a copywriter in a digital agency right now. It all starts with a 15-year vision. What is the vision for yourself in the next 15 years? Can you draw a logical path from here to there? And when you can do that, you can really achieve anything that you want. Yeah. Yeah, huge difference between a shopper and a consumer. A consumer is the one who finally eats. A shopper is the one who purchases. So for the example, in the case of cheese, my consumer could be the child at home, and the shopper would be his mother who actually does the shopping. Yeah. Is it mandatory to have sales experience for marketing? I would say it will help. Yeah, I would say it will definitely help, because if you are in consumer insights, you have a large, amount of knowledge about your domain, and you can continue doing well there. But marketing is finally about creating impact. And if you have got a sales or an operations experience, your credibility in being able to create marketing impact is obviously far, far more. And hence, I would really recommend operations roles for anybody if you want a leadership role in any function. Yeah. Then any e-commerce startup. I'm coming up with e-commerce. Can you suggest me a creative agency? I think Google will do a far better job than I will. Right, all of the top 10 agencies are right out there. Yeah. Then Amul is launching many product lines. What is the strategy behind it? So I would say that a lot of companies are launching a large number of innovations, right? But don't be fooled. Not all those innovations are really for business impact. A lot of them are for PR. And PR is a great thing because you finally want to send messaging. So I would say when there are a lot of companies launching immunity boosters, maybe actual business might be reasonable at best. Yeah, but it will give a lot of positive news for that company and for the category which they are in. Yeah. Then what's the difference? Yeah. Did China-US trade war impact Indian markets like competition and investments? Yeah, it's a win-lose, win-win, as you want to say it. If the economy gets depressed, everybody loses, and hence the US-China trade war will disbalance the economy, right? But is it impacting us? Not as much, because most of our market is in India, right? If you have a large domestic demand, you can be relatively more resilient, right, to what's going on. Yeah. Then what's the difference between pre-sales and sales? Pre-sales is really when you want to soften up an audience for a complicated product. So I would say brands like Google do a lot of pre-sales because Google offers complicated products. If you directly go out there and try to make a sale, may not happen. So you need pre-sales to really understand what is the genuine demand and attitudes out there. A lot of pre-sales happens by doing seminars, by involving people in building the rationale behind your services, right? And once you build those rationale, you soften people up, then you can go on out with sales and sort of close those, back. Yeah. My company's CSR initiatives, Britannia has done a lot of work in CSR, right? But I believe as an organization, we believe more in doing rather than speaking about it, right? So I think in terms of hot meals, amount of real commitment that has been done on the ground, I would say there is enough and more information available online on all the work that Britannia has done, and I wouldn't want to delve too much into it. Yeah. Now, so this new normal, right? What does this whole new normal mean, right? Now, new normal means a lot of things, frankly, and I think it's just become a lot of interesting jargon right now, right? New normal is the way I and you are interacting right now. I think his webinars, his new behaviors, work from home. New normal will also be what happens once we get out of COVID, right? And what will happen outside of COVID is a lot of learned behaviors will continue to stick. People will continue to have a lot more consumption at home and go out to restaurants less. So I would say anything which helps you understand what is the behavior that is going to last for a degree of time, so you can base your marketing campaigns and your thoughts about it. That's what a new normal is. New normal is anything which says that, this is not temporary. This is not there for 1 or 2 months. This is something that you can do something actionable about. And that's where the word new normal is coming. Yeah. How does one tap rural marketing? I think that's through a great sales and distribution structure. Yeah. I have a startup in the fashion industry. Last year, due to COVID, I'm facing a lot of problems. How to get back to the market. So it's a tough time. Yeah. It's a really, really tough time. Yeah. And the fashion industry will see a lull for some time. Yeah. Why will they see a lull? Because if you're not going to go out, you're not going to be, not going to be, wearing all those fancy clothes. What can you do? Right? What you can do is to try to break the market in the lines of the 4 scenarios that I gave you, right? When I talked about your breach, yeah, crisis, resilience, yeah. So you need to figure out what are your services, how soon can you react to really take advantage of that, right? So, I am very inspired by brands like Fab India, right, who have got beautiful lines of masks out there, right? Is that something you can do? Right? I don't know. But is there new fashion trends that you can figure out? Right? Is there something that you can do? Can you pivot in some manner to take advantage of certain current trends, or at least be really be an intermediary to somebody else, right? But really, it's about partnerships. It's about understanding consumer behavior. It's about understanding when things will get back on track. Yeah, the fashion industry, hospitality is going to be in a difficult situation right now. Over a 3-year period, everything will get ironed out. I think whatever other categories or sectors losing right now, people will come back with a bang. I'm sure once your sectors like tourism open up, I think we'll all want to do far more vacations than less. Yeah. But this time is difficult and everybody has to pivot in this time and figure out what we can do. Yeah. I'm into electronic product sales. Sector is highly affected due to COVID. What is the strategy to improve sales? Or is it time to focus on marketing, business development more than sales? You must understand, it is important to understand consumer behavior. The consumer is only using more of OTT and mobiles and all of that right now, right? So is there something that you can do to make use of the current and also focus on the future? Yeah, but I think it's really about understanding consumer and trends right now in the future and also make today work, right? And I'm sure today we are in a difficult situation. What can you do to make today work? I think that's important. Yeah. As we transition from IT services to IT product companies, pre-sales, sales, marketing. Yeah, like I said, make your vision, make a step-by-step process, and you'll get there. Yeah. Then any suggestion for books related to branding? I covered them in the end, which is Al Ries, Jack Trout. Yeah, and of course the new age book on how brands grow. Yeah. Trying to suggest, I'm a technical manager in Asian Paints. I'm planning to move to sales division. Can you please suggest what steps I should take towards it? See, sales is fairly easy to get through. Talk to your HR. Yeah, talk to your HR, and sales is really about drive and passion. And if you are a person who comes across as committed to a lot of drive, I don't think it'll be too difficult to move into sales, right? Just ensure that you have the right levers to get there, right? And people should be open enough to hire you. Yeah. I got an offer from Square Yard, an opportunity to work in a real estate brokering firm. See, real estate is going through a tough time for sure right now. Property prices are low. Having said that, a lot of decoding can be done. If you cut through the sector, you'll realize that there is a boom about to happen in smaller houses or in rural areas. So I think it's all about informing yourself, reading the trends, and figuring out what the opportunities are. Okay, what sector can outperform during this time besides pharma? I talked about it. Yeah. Then if you mentioned, example, shop. Okay, can you give us a brief example to explain shopper marketing further? Shopper marketing is about fixtures that you do at sales. It's a lot of science behind it. It's about how do you analyze what is the right kind of messaging on shopper. I would say great examples of shopper marketing comes from Ferrero, which is largely built brands like Ferrero Rocher and Tic Tac via great dispensers on shelf, right? I think all of that is exciting parts of shopper marketing. Yeah. Then give a brief example. Yeah, skills needed for Nielsen, Millward Brown, largely analytical and detailed research skills, right? But again, every function, whether it's a Nielsen or a Millward Brown, also has sales and marketing people. So you could surely enter one of those companies from the sales side, not necessarily from a technical side. Yeah, and if you want a career in sales and marketing, these are all important companies to look at. Yeah, own autobiography, not yet, Indrajit. I don't have one. Then what would be the associate to negotiate with big retail chains? Yeah, I think you have to finally figure out a win-win. Can you give them a confidence that you can also drive offtakes? Yeah, I think that's really the place. Yeah. Then wow, a lot of questions are there. Okay, what are the view on working at Amazon at a junior level? Yeah, Amazon is a great company. Yeah, it's a huge company. It's a great company to work at the junior level. I'm sure there's a lot of opportunities for growth. Does FMCG supply companies contribute more to the economy or the essential companies? Both. Yeah, I think essentials and FMCG is currently a time which is growing. Yeah. Okay, now a question, the final question from Indrajit Kumar, where he says, I'm working with Bajaj Electricals. At this time, sales and activity is less than previous times. How can I improve this activity this time? More products in demand and receive the products at a realistic time. See, I would say, you know, for a lot of us who are working in sectors where we have replacements happening at home, yeah, I think all those bulbs are still getting fused. I think all of those things are right there. It's just a time where the consumer is worried about venturing out and purchasing it, right? I don't know whether e-commerce or something like that can help you, right? One thing which I've seen ice cream companies do very well. They're actually going into society activations. They share Google Forms and they actually ask consumers they actually ask consumers to say that, you know, if you have demand, tell me and we'll come on the weekend and hand those products over to you. So I would say you have to figure out what is the real problem. Is it lack of demand? Is it lack of demand? Is it the fact that the consumer is unable to reach your products? Really, what is the real thing holding you back? And I think that's really the place to sort of, you know, to really address some of these issues. Yeah. Okay, I think I've now answered a lot of questions. Okay, give me a second. We have 4 hands raised. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so I'm just going to take the final 3-4 questions. So I'll allow to talk a few people who have raised their hands. Yeah, so I'm just going to click on Sonjoy Sonar. Yeah, allow to talk. Sonjoy, can you talk? Let's do unmute. No, this doesn't seem to be working. Let me try Vipul. Yeah, some of the guys who raised their hands, in case you want to ask a question, I am willing to take that question. I have just clicked. Yeah, that's Vipul.
Yeah. Hi, Saurabh. This is Vipul here.
Yes, Vipul, tell me.
Saurabh, I'm coming up with one startup that is e-commerce furniture leasing, and as I required some help from your end, is any creative agency do you know who are expertise in e-commerce platform who can suggest me or give me an skill sets of e-commerce, how generally things work out?
Difficult one, yeah, Vipul, since I'm not directly in that function, right? But I would say most of the top digital agencies, right, like 22 Feet and all of these, they typically tend to have some services, right?
Okay.
So I don't think I can directly help you on this query.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Sanjoy, do you, sorry, Vipul, do you want to ask me a question? Okay, I'm going to click on the next one. That's Nikita. Yeah, Nikita, do you have a question? No, I'm just clicking on people who had raised their hands, right? Then there's a, yeah, is that Vipul? You're going to ask me a question? Yeah, Vipul, tell me.
Yeah, I've already asked you a question about e-commerce.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Nikita, do you have a question? Okay, there is a Shilata Chauhan allowed to talk. Tanmay allowed to talk. Okay. Yeah. So basically, yeah, who's speaking?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, may I go ahead?
Yes, Mangesh, tell me.
Yeah, good evening. Nice presentation. My question is about the concern of plastic pollution on account of FMCG products. So, what is your views on that?
Okay, now so the talk was with regards to careers and to COVID times. So I'm not able to figure out are you linking a question to the topic. Is there a
Yeah,
COVID angle to the question, or is it a generic question on pollution and plastic?
yeah, because you are a man from FMCG background, that's why I was tempted to ask this.
No, I'm so sorry. I will not be able to give you any response because it's not something that I'm able to understand a context for. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Srilata here, can I ask a question, please?
Yes, Srilata, tell me.
Yeah, hi. So I had a question, like we have an agricultural farmland. So I just wanted to know how is the scope building up for agricultural farming down the line 5 years for any agro-based startup or anything?
Yeah, so I would say it's a tough question because I'm not a domain expert in that area, right? But I would say that, healthier living trends is something which is really coming up in a big way. Yeah, and that healthier living trends are being surfaced in 3 or 4 ways. The first is people are going over to larger brands that they trust. Yeah. Second is there's a lot of movement from unorganized to organized. So loose curd, loose milk is being replaced by branded products. Third is by people looking for healthier living habits, things like immunity boosters, sanitization, curds, yogurts, chamanprash, right? Third is an overall increase in healthier and new food habits, things like your Kellogg's breakfast cereals, organic foods. So I would say that these are 3 or 4 waves which have been there in the past, and they're further getting accentuated during this time. And hence, if you are in one of those emerging food sectors where it is about a healthier living or a food habit, I think that is something which is going to continue to become more and more relevant.
Okay, thank you so much.
Saurabh sir, Fanish here.
Hanji Fanish, boliye.
Sir, it's regarding poultry market. As you know, this COVID-19 has created misconception about poultry and meat, right? So,
Yeah.
how would be the scenario after COVID-19 regarding poultry area? And also, like, although right now is not winter season, but it has also stopped to purchase eggs for their, further
Yeah.
processing.
No, it's a very good point. And Fanish, this COVID has created that kind of a panic mentality among a lot of people. Yeah, and hence I think 2 areas where this is getting seen, right? One is in the field of milk, and second is in the case of poultry, right? So after the ever highest milk prices last year, suddenly prices collapsed during the COVID, and I don't think consumption really collapsed as much. So I think, yes, it's about, it's in the V-shaped recovery domain is what I would imagine. It is something that has caused short-term panic, but as people become more and more confident that, they can get back to the normal lifestyles, I think it'll go up. So I used to have a lot of consumption of meat myself, right? Ordering from Swiggy and Zomato has stopped for me completely. During the lockdown, I really moved over to frozen meat, and I really experienced a lot of frozen meat, delicious spreads. And now I've come back to my regular meat habits via things like Licious. So I would say that all we can do in the poultry time is try to give higher confidence on hygiene, and hopefully over time it should come back with a bang. But yeah, this is going to be a tough time for most of us.
Regarding milk consumption, you said, na sir, regarding, for example, Amul here. So, skim milk powder has reduced their consumption because retail are not open, right? And hospitals, Horeca sector are not open. I think that's why they have decreased consumption, right? I think so. Okay.
Yes. So, while, like I said, all of these things have decreased, but total consumption should remain the same, right? So if people are not having milk powder in their institutional canteen, there should be a some amount of higher milk consumption at home. But you are right. That is one of the big reasons for the collapse in sales.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Okay. Any other questions by anybody else? Or we're mostly done. Okay. Yeah, I think we are mostly done with everybody. Yeah. Okay. So, guys, I think that's all from me. Thank you so much. I've had a great time interacting with all of you. Yeah. And all the best. It's a tough time, but I'm sure we'll all get through it. Let's focus on the future, focus on building our existing skills and ensuring that we make the most of the opportunities which will emerge, and hopefully by God we will all get through this time as well. Thank you so much. So I'll just be exiting now.